Welcome, gamers, to this week's episode of Last Call Gaming. We're on episode 110. My name is Craig Perales, and joining me, as always, is Andrew Montemayor.
The Gabagool!
Ooh, this guy. So, if you guys are watching our YouTube channel, make sure you guys jump down below and leave us a comment, hit the like button, and definitely be a subscriber. And if you can, share this video with as many people as you can. And you can find our links to all of our social media platforms in our link tree link that'll take you to our Facebook, our Instagram, our Twitter, all that good stuff. And if you guys are listening to the audio only version of the podcast, check us out on Anchor. That is the home of the podcast for the time being, and it will take you to other platforms such as Spotify and iTunes. So, as always, guys, we like to drink beer on this show when we get drunk and talk about video game news. So, Andrew actually picked this one out. This is the Full Sail Amber from the Full Sail Brewing Company. It sits at a 6%. It is from Oregon, United States, and it is available all year round. Now, according to the notes, this thing says that it's won over 25 gold medals. So, Andrew, does it feel like you're drinking gold when you taste this bad boy?
I know for sure that it is, because it looks like they melted those gold medals down and put them into the caps.
I was looking at the cap. What is it?
That's the state of Oregon.
Oh, no, I just thought it was a black smear. I didn't even get a good look at it.
No, nice. At first I thought it was like a smear too. I was like, is it supposed to be like when they have like the Miller highlight and it doesn't like print right? But then I was like, oh no, there's a star. Never mind, that's Oregon.
Yeah, I gotta say, man, nice, crispy, good old beer. I think you said we've had this one before, but it's definitely a new bottle. Yeah, because the Beer Advocate, which we used, which gave it an 85 for a very good score, shows an old look, and that look looks kind of familiar, but this is definitely kind of, modern and up to date, I'd imagine.
I like it, but I like most amber ales, and I can actually taste this beer. So
yeah, this one says it's malty, medium-bodied ale with a spicy floral hop finish. So it does taste very like a hop finish.
I'll tell you what I tried today. I tried like barbecue sauce because someone got the Western Bacon Burger from Carl's Jr.
Oh yeah,
and
I'm no stranger to the Western Bacon.
I used to love it, and that barbecue sauce tastes like shit to me now. It is not good.
You think they changed the formula?
No, I just think it's the COVID taste. Just like A1 sauce tastes like shit. It's like really sour now. It doesn't even taste good.
Oh, that's hilarious. So, guys, if you want to recommend a beer, feel free to leave it in the comments down below for us to drink something. We'll look for it if we can find it. Or if not, grab something out of your fridge and drink along with us. So, before we move into our main stories, guys, we like to do a segment called What Are You Up To? Where Andrew and I take a quick second, talk about what we're playing, what we've been watching, any trips we may have coming up. So, Andrew, why don't you tell the kids at home, what are you up to?
I've actually haven't been doing too much. I just started Metroid Dread. I'm actually really liking it so far because it's really like Metroid Fusion. I haven't played like too many Metroid games. I've only done Metroid Prime 1, 2, Fusion, which was on the Game Boy Advance, and that's it. I haven't really played any of the other. I have Super Metroid, but I've never gone back and played it, and that's something I've been meaning to do.
Oh, no, me too. I was talking with Geno about it the other day. I'm like, I have Super Metroid, have it like in box. I've started it 1,000 times. I've never gotten any further than like that game. I've never beaten one. So hopefully when you're done, I can snag it, and then maybe I'll be my first.
For sure. I think I'll have this game done by the weekend because technically, usually they're not that long. And I love Fusion, and this is giving me mad Fusion vibes. I'm already like ready to get.
And it's getting a great score. It's like a 95, I think, or something like
that. Yeah, it's like really, really high. So that's always good. Something to look forward to too.
Excellent.
And speaking of also high scores, I just started Netflix's #1 rated show, which is Squid Game. I'm only 2 episodes in, so no spoilers, please. But I'm absolutely loving it. I cannot wait to get in there and watch more. That I'm definitely going to binge it this weekend. Like, that show has its hooks in me.
Yeah, so I'm going to piggyback off of Andrew. I've actually started Squid Game as well, but I'm only 1 episode in. So Andrew and I were kind of talking about it, and so far so good. Like Andrew said, it is the #1 show on Netflix, and it's nuts because I'm gonna pull this chart up real quick. Like, you would think that something like Stranger Things would be the #1 show of all time for Netflix because like everyone hears of Stranger Things, but it's actually number 6 on there. And even a show like The Witcher surpassed it, but their big dog for a while was Bridgerton, which was kind of like that Victorian England show that they had, and the highest views it was up to was 82 million. Squid Game season 1 is dominating it. It's 111, and what's crazy is Andrew and I were talking about it too because we both didn't know how the other one watched it. It's a show that's in South Korea, so I watched it subtitled. They were speaking South Korean and it was subtitled. Andrew watched it dubbed.
You just push play and that's how it started?
That's how it started for me. So I was just like, oh, okay. I have no problem with subtitle shows. I guess I didn't check to see if there was an option to change it.
I didn't even know that that's how people watch it. I didn't even know it could be dubbed or if it was subbed because I just pushed play and mine was in English. And so that's how I just ended up watching it, and I really actually like it.
Which is crazy because this is a show that, like, regardless of how you're watching it, either overdubbed or subtitled, it's not the normal way most people would watch it. So it's crazy to me that not only is this show number one, but it's dwarfing, like, it's 30 ahead of the last one. So it means that even something that has a week-long appeal or a month, when it drops as Stranger Things, everybody's watching Squid Games. And you have to watch it one way or the other, and it doesn't seem like most people watch their shows like that. So it's weird that it's getting that much attention
for something with like a language barrier, if that's what you want to call it. Because either you're watching with subtitles, or when you're watching the dub, sometimes a person, you do as best as you can when someone's talking, and then it's like hello, but their mouth is like still moving or whatever.
Yeah, it's crazy. So if you guys have not seen it, definitely check it out because it's conversations a lot of people are having. So,
dude, for sure though, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
When
me and Christina were watching, I was like, there's going to be 90 million people dressed like these costumes for Halloween. That was my first thing, was either the jumpsuit or the people with the mask.
I already looked it up. I was already on Amazon going, I want one of those suits. So I was watching that. The other thing I was watching is my buddy Dante and I just finished the show Heels on Stars. The first season just dropped. It's 8 episodes long. It's a wrestling show with Stephen Amell.
Oh, I've seen the trailer for that a bunch.
And I always forget the other dude's name. And Alexander Ludwig, who's from Vikings, if you guys are familiar with that show. But it's about these wrestling guys that are in Duffy. They're doing the DWL, but it's happening still in real time. So there is still a WWE, and there is a Hulk Hogan and a Vince McMahon, but these guys are still kind of wrestling out of like a small territory. And I don't know, if you're a fan of wrestling at all, I would say check it out. It's a pretty good show, and it's getting some pretty decent reviews. But there's 2 dudes I wanted to point out. There's this guy named Gully, and he's like the rival. He's down in Florida, and they're about like a half hour away. And this dude kind of reminds me of like Jimmy Hart meets like kind of like a Flairish like Vince McMahon, I guess you could say. But there's a dude named Wild Bill who's like a combination of like Macho Man Randy Savage and Ric Flair. Like he embodies the old school wrestling lifestyle. So if you guys aren't familiar with like the terminology, a heel is essentially like the bad guy wrestler, and the brother's going through being a face, which is the good guy wrestler. So I don't know, it brought back a lot of kind of old school memories of just like watching wrestling, and you get to see like the behind the scenes on how stories are made and how they progress. So it's a pretty interesting show. But as far as what I'm playing, I just beat Far Cry 6.
Game of the year,
Far Cry 6. It's definitely the best looking Far Cry, and its gameplay is extremely tight and very nice to do. But I gotta say, for as much as they were pushing Giancarlo Esposito as like the main bad guy, because Far Cry's like known to have these larger than life villains like Voss in number 3, Pagan in number 4, and Jacob in number 5. I always get it if it's Jacob or Joseph, but he's not really in this game. So the more we talked about it last episode, but I was going to say, if you guys are looking to see if you should buy it, I would probably wait until this game goes on sale, because Ubisoft normally drops huge sales like 6 months after games go out. So instead of paying $60 for this, you could probably wait till January, and this game's probably going to be $35.99, and that's probably when I'd get it, because it does lose a lot of the old features like the point buy system instead of loot, and it does this whole, like, the loot that you pick up doesn't do anything outside of upgrading bases that just get you more loot that doesn't do anything. So, right. I don't know. You can kind of get repetitive and burnt out on that. But that is what I am playing. And, jump down to the comments below, guys. Let us know what you're watching. Let us know what you're playing. And give us your thoughts on that. So,
let me know if you're playing anything spooky for Halloween.
Ooh, we like spooky games. What would you... Besides what we're going to talk about next, you got any other spooky games?
I highly recommend Alien Isolation, especially if you're a Alien fan at all. Actually, go and check our video game list that we made of our tops for games to play during Halloween. We made a whole list. Some of them a little more kid-friendly, some of them more adult, so there's something in there for everybody. But I think that was my number 1 rated game, was Alien Isolation.
Nice. I was saying, that's good shameless plug you got there. So, moving into our main story, guys. Back 4 Blood is out. Now, this game was originally supposed to drop June 22nd in summer, and it came out October 12th of this year. So speaking of Halloween October games, perfect timing. I'm glad it kind of got that push. I think October is where it's a good place to sit.
Yeah, for sure.
It's developed by Turtle Rock Studios, published by Warner Brothers Interactive, and you can get this game for $60. It's cross-platform, but it's built into your Game Pass subscription. So if you are playing on the Xbox or PC and you have Game Pass, you can actually play this game day and date. So let me bring up real quick. So if you guys aren't familiar with what Back 4 Blood is, it's a spiritual successor of Left 4 Dead. So it's, the old school multiplayer 4-man team, going through killing zombies and kind of getting by, a crumbling city. But what they ended up doing was kind of change the, everyman kind of persona of the characters into everybody has like a role. So real quick, I'll just read the plot of what this game is. The game takes place after a worldwide outbreak caused by a newly discovered parasite, which is heavily implied to be of alien origin. Most of humanity has been infected and turned into the Ridden, leaving players in a post-apocalyptic world. The story centers on a group of veteran survivors called the Cleaners that comes together to fight off the zombies. The Cleaners' names are Walker, Holly, Hoffman, Evangelo, Carly, Doc, Jim, and Mom. So, solid game coming out. It's big difference between Left 4 Dead and itself is that, like I said, the characters have more personality. Every character is kind of designed to fit a role. And the biggest thing, obviously, is that they introduced a card system, which you get to build for yourself and kind of help out your team. But also there's a game director who kind of deals out corruption cards that kind of affect the game in a negative way or just put more pressure on the team to kind of finish the run. So Andrew and I have actually been playing it. We've been going into with a different squad kind of almost every time we've played it. Sometimes it's just Andrew and I and two bots. Originally it was AJ and Geno, which is his cousin and my brother. We actually cross-platformed and played with a couple guys on PC, which we had a really great run. We've made it to we're on Act 2, Mission 7. So Andrew, you're my right-hand man. So far, what do you think of the game?
I actually really like it, but I also didn't play Left 4 Dead, so it's not like I can sit here and be like, oh, well, this game is dog shit compared to that. It is a game that you have to play with somebody else, at least one other person, because one, it's broken if you play by yourself. You don't get any points. You don't unlock achievements for some reason. All that stuff is broke, and they absolutely need to fix that. Which is the
biggest drawback for sure.
But two, I found we ended up picking up some good teammates, but we had some other ones that weren't that good. To where me and him were playing, I'm like, dude, I hope these guys leave because I just would rather play with a bot so you and me could get past this point because I'm tired of carrying this dead weight, and that's what's slowing us down and keeping us back. So that also can kind of be a thing. I guess you could start private lobby, but if you have the Game Pass, definitely try it for sure. There's no reason you shouldn't try this game, especially if you have some friends to play with, because when you're playing with other people, it is about those moments to moments that is absolutely fun.
Yeah, and I want to give a shout out to Vertical Slice Games. They're on Instagram. They have a Discord. Big shout out to these guys. I like checking them out because they do really good kind of collective data on the games, and they just put out one for Back 4 Blood, which actually came out today, showing that 80% of the critics that are playing this game are recommending it, which is very well for a game that's coming out. And they've got 40 different reviews, and overall out of 100 they're ranking it around 77, which Andrew and I were kind of talking when we originally started playing it. I think we were both kind of around a 6 for the game, but we already played the beta, so we weren't seeing anything new, so it was kind of it was okay, I gotta do all this again. But once we started getting into Act 2 and getting new players, my hype for this game completely jumped, and I'm having more and more fun with it. The part that kind of sucks the most is we gotta wait to see when each other are gonna jump on to play, because our goal is to play it together. But I just want to point out there's a few things that I would say that you would need to know going into it. Is like Andrew was kind of pointing out, you got to play as a team, because the whole somebody running ahead or someone staying behind not only jeopardizes them when they're playing, but it affects the team because the waves keep coming in. So whether or not someone's way ahead or way behind, you can't really you can progress, but you have that feeling of going back and trying to revive them, which could end up causing you to die. The other thing is, you should know what role you're playing. There's Andrew likes playing the medic, which is awesome. She gets a lot of cool different things for reviving, but there's also a sniper that I've been playing, which you got to know when you're moving forward and when you're moving back. You can't be the person that's getting hit and going down. And then I think the funnest part, which I think is probably the most overwhelming part for people to start, is the deck system. Like, do not be scared of building a deck and getting cards, because once you start doing it, it's just like fun. You're like, oh, cool. I got to add my stamina. I got to add, like, one of the things I was using is turning your melee into the dagger so you can actually start killing people, and then adding a health regeneration on it. It's insane. And the more you play it, the more you're going to get. And I would also say definitely start on recruit. There's no, don't die a hero. Like, play on recruit.
It's
stack your deck, and if you're gonna replay it, then do it on nightmare with with a fully fledged deck and a squad of 4. So I mean, how do you like the card system overall?
Yeah, I mean, even playing on recruit, we found it extremely challenging. We got wiped, but I actually really like the card system. I think that offers like a different dynamic, especially too. It's almost like the Yu-Gi-Oh kind of theory that you can put like a bunch of cards into this deck, but then when you need a certain card, you're gonna end up like, I don't need that one, I don't need that one. You're just pulling shit that you don't need, that you kind of want to keep it at, like, for if those of you who are in the Yu-Gi-Oh, the ideal way that a lot of pro players play is with 40 cards. So that way you can kind of burn through what you need and you're getting your good stuff early on. And so like you said, I'm playing the medic, so I'm grabbing stuff that's helping everybody. I have another card that if somebody goes down and gets knocked, it's giving everybody around 20 health for like 30 seconds, so that way you can try and revive them. I'm carrying the defib, so that way I can get them up. I really like the variations of the play in there, because I play medic, but my medic is also built for close range. So I'm only primarily using the shotguns, the knives, the machetes, the melee weapons, because that's how I'm boosting my health, and that's how I'm like cruising through the bigger enemies, is I'm clearing out these waves by being up close and on the front lines.
Yeah, and one of the things is like I said, just communication is key, because at first when you're looking at stacking your person and doing your support item, your offensive item, you kind of want to gear it so that you survive, but you got to make sure you're talking to people and that everyone's carrying something that's going to carry the team. So like, when Andrew's carrying the med kits, I'm carrying the toolkit. You want to make sure that when you play these maps, which are actually laid out quite nice, like I like what they did with the maps. None of it feels like, even though we kind of got into repeat maps, do you take that as a hindrance of like going back into a map that you've already done and not seeing something new, or going, hey, I know this map, I kind of know the layout, and now I know how to run around?
I wonder if that was just from the beta, because once that one started, and I wonder if they'd include that in the beta, and maybe that's where they got it from, it really opened up and it was completely different. But I kind of know what you mean. Sometimes you feel a little bit like they're a little samey, but there's lots of times where either A, you're rushing through a lane, but there's also lots of places where it opens up and I could run and jump up this hill. I could creep around through the forest. I could just try and run and jump on all these vehicles. So, I mean, there's different ways of playing for different people to play different ways. If you want to try and get through it stealthily as possible without alerting the horde, the birds, the whatever, there's ways for you usually to get around and do that.
Yeah, and the other cool thing that I like is that there's constant buying and re-upgrading yourself. So when you make it to these safe rooms, they've got this like lockbox, that you open up, you can buy it. That's where you can kind of re-equip yourself, buy your items. But the other thing I really like is outside of just picking up different guns of different color, like the gold, blue, purple system, there's different attachments and different things you can kind of keep putting on your gun. Do you want a better clip? Do you want to get a scope? And then you can kind of drop it and switch out so that other players can pick up what they need. And I was reading that I guess Apex is kind of notorious for this, and so is PUBG. So is that accurate to say that their kind of attachments is the same system that's kind of utilized in those games? And if so, is it as good or close?
It's kind of like almost in a way. I would say it's a mixture of that and maybe almost like Destiny 2, because you're grabbing whatever grade tier loot based off of what attachments are on it. It's like purple, gold, green, blue. So in a way, it's almost like kind of a looter shooter, except for you don't really keep that stuff. You're just dropping whatever for the next item. And I like the way that works too, especially because you could have like a green weapon and find like a high tier reload and then just use it off of that, and it doesn't change what color your weapon is, but in your head like, okay, cool, I got this, so I know that I'm not just using a basic whatever. Now when I come across a purple gun that maybe might have a scope or a different barrel, or I run faster when I'm using this, I can reload faster with this gun, and that's more important to me than that. So I'm going to keep my green tier gun versus that purple.
Yeah, so I mean, so far I think, Andrew, have you bumped it up to around a high 7 in terms of the 6 that we had when we first started it and we're repeating on the beta?
I would say for me it's like a good 7.75 so far. I'm having a lot of fun playing it. There's a few do you have anything that really kind of stands out to you?
The big negative I would say has been the kind of the just getting a group together online. We've had some issues where getting in is like you'll hit the run and then it'll take you to a different spot. So you got to back out. You got to do the run again. And I know this is probably intentional because they want to make each run feel like its own, like a new thing. But I really just dislike the concept of losing everything that you acquire, that your guy feels like a beast. And then once you back out and go back in, like all that's gone and you're kind of starting back from scratch. And I mean, I understand, I guess, why they're doing it, but I would just like to you should be able to at least keep maybe like one thing, because you lose all your scrap and you lose everything. I don't like that the party system overrides with the group chat. So like Andrew and I were in our private party, but still being in the group chat, like it's supposed to take you out of that. I would like Call of Duty does, right? It makes it so
Call of Duty doesn't even do that. Yeah. So what he's talking about is, so if you're in a party, like an Xbox party, to where only we should be able to hear and talk to each other, it's still talking through the game chat somehow. And I actually have to go in and mute him so that way it doesn't echo. But even then, it defeats the purpose, because then when there's other people playing the game, they can also hear you. We played with this other dude the other day. His name was Fanta. And he was playing on PC, and he was just writing us like, oh, hey, I can hear you guys or whatever. That's when we're like, oh, okay, cool. Like, whatever. I'll just unmute, whatever. And it's just easier to stay in the chat because I didn't like the game chat. It sounds completely different and was a lot more choppy.
Is your gripe that you couldn't find the game chat for the Xbox?
No, my actual gripe for this game is I don't feel like there's any real memorable sort of zombie. Like, for me,
rinse and repeat kind of. I only played the 3 big guys.
I only played Left 4 Dead like a few times, so again, like I said, I don't have much to say about it. But I know for a lot of people, the standout were the different kind of zombies in that game. And the only one I remember is, I don't remember what it's called, but there was the weird zombie chick that's like crying in a corner. I think it's called the Witch.
The Witch.
And if you get close, and that one, even though I only played for a little bit, completely stood out in my mind. Like, that's something that I won't forget because it was very unique, to where I feel like all these kind of really aren't, you know? They could, I think they could have. It's not so much that they don't do different unique things, because there's some that like explode on you. There's this other really cool one that will put you in like a web, or another one that grabs you and like grabs your person, and it like tries to drag you away from the rest of the team, and then you gotta like stop him. So they have cool, unique ideas for what they do, but their designs aren't that different from each other that it's not that cool or unique. Because then there's like the other Shrieker thing looks like that one that drags you away, and that one that drags you away looks like the one that can trap you in the cocoon. Or even the
one that explodes looks like the hag that chases you at times. You're just like,
yeah, I was gonna say, you really learn it when you play the multiplayer Swarm, because there's this other dude with like a big blob arm, the tall boy, and there's one that he just like slams his arm around a bunch and like hits you and kind of like bumps you. But then there's another one that grabs you, holds you in there, and squeezes the life out of you. And I can't tell the difference between the two physically looking at them.
Yeah, that is kind of a drawback, and I guess maybe it's something they could patch in to kind of give them a more of a distinct look, because they all also have like the same tone of gray. So
yeah, that's like, what I mean. Really,
yeah.
It's like they could have.
The difference is where their weak spot is, like where you're looking. Is it in his chest? Is it in his shoulder? Is it in his head? So I would say on a positive note though is I really like the voice acting, and I haven't found myself wanting to skip any of the cutscenes. Like I kind of want to know where this story is going instead of just being like, all right, skip. Let me get to the action. It's like it's actually got kind of a cool little storyline. So overall, man, I think it's moving in a very positive direction. And again, I've said it in past episodes too. I've been craving more online multiplayer games outside of just like jumping online and playing Call of Duty. Like I want to play more games as a squad, and this is like perfect timing. So, and the other benefit is, take it as a positive or a negative depending on how you want to spend your time, but it seems to be a very long game. Like all of these acts are probably like 10 missions a piece, and I think it's 4 or 5 acts. So some of them are super quick. Some of them just run through, get to the base, and that's it. Other ones are like you got to grab supply kits and run. So you do got to, again, talk to your team and see how you guys are going to progress. But overall, man, I think this game came out at a good time, and I think it might get swallowed up in terms of what else is coming out, and maybe not stick around in terms of a name. But I got to say, because it's on Game Pass, I think it's really going to help the longevity of this game to stay relevant, at least for the next few months. I don't think anyone's going to play this and then be done with it.
I think I will once I'm done beating it, because I have all the big shit.
We will, because we're moving on, but I think the game will stay around.
So, either way, if you have the Game Pass, definitely get out there and get it. I highly recommend at least trying it.
Definitely. So, our next story, guys, is that the Nintendo Switch Online expansion pack, that's a mouthful, finally dropped its price and the day it's coming out. And surprisingly enough, It was released during the Animal Crossing Direct that was earlier today, and I had no intention of watching this. I mean, I like Animal Crossing, and I think it's great for what it was doing during the COVID, but, you know, I'm not watching this. And somehow they took an important piece of news like the expansion pack price and date that they left us hanging on the last big Nintendo Direct, and they kind of dropped it. So if you guys were curious of what the expansion pack is, essentially it's a bundle of N64 games, Sega Genesis games, and the now Animal Crossing DLC added into an added-on feature from the original premium for Nintendo Switch Online. So the Nintendo Switch Online was running at $20 for the year. Now they're adjusting the price so that if you are doing the family plan, that's going to change to $34.99. But you can also do the single tier in a month or 3 months. What they did is they added on the expansion pack, which you can only buy in a 12-month package, and the $20 goes to $50. So it is now a $30 add-on just to add those games to play them. So a lot of people are looking at this going, now this is now a $50 service. It's double than what the original price was, which is insane. I thought it'd be a weird, crazy move if they doubled it and just did 2020. Now it's 40. They added on 30. You know, it's 30 more dollars. The weird thing is, in the UK, it's only a $15 upgrade fee. So I don't know how that worked out, but I don't know. I think this is horrible PR for Nintendo. I think it's a huge step backwards. They have the worst online infrastructure out of the big three, and to add $30 more on something that I was paying $20 for, I think it's ridiculous. And then if you do want to play the Sega games or the 64 games with a controller that matches the playstyle, the controller's $50. So if you are someone new you just bought your Switch OLED and you want to get the online service, you're paying $50 for it on top of a $50 controller. So you're looking at a $100 entry point for something that I don't know is worth $50. Do you see it differently?
No, I agree with you. I think they went with like the shit sandwich approach for this one. Where
no.
They give you the good news with Animal Crossing, show you more, but hey, here's this shitty fucking price, but here's some more like Animal Crossing to end on like a good note and kind of sneak that in. So yeah, like you said, for 12 months of the single user, it's $49.99, but then they also have the 12 months for a family user pack, which is $79.99. So $80 for that. And again, the only thing...
And that's just for 2 plays. If you just want to have one more person on your online, it's now $80 for all that.
And I think what's crazy, again, is that they're asking you to pay this when they have the worst infrastructure. It already doesn't really run that well. There's no chat. But even still, that's what Xbox Live used to cost, was $60 a year. And you got way more. And now you have other things. I hate to compare it to like the Game Pass or even less more is like the PS Now. And it's got nothing compared to what you're paying for those features. For $80 a year, I could have like the Game Pass Ultimate. I think it's maybe like $20 more, but I'm getting far more in games they won like Back 4 Blood than... I think that's the bigger problem, is they're saying, hey, you know, they're acting like it's a kind gesture. Like, we're going to let you play all these old Nintendo 64 games, only whatever ones we've selected. But that's the thing, is a lot of these games are all those premier titles that anybody who's anybody has already beaten them. I've already beaten every game that's probably on that list. I'd have to look at it again, but I doubt there's something on there. But let alone, I'm not going to pay $50 to go back and play Star Fox 64.
And the other thing is, you know, if you've got a decently working computer, you can get all this. Like
on an emulator. Yeah,
none of this is like the new Mario Odyssey, like it's locked behind Nintendo Switch. This is just emulators that you could get on a decently working PC and play all this. The only thing that's kind of a hindrance is that you need the online capability to play games like Super Smash Bros. Online, to play Mario Party and the new Mario Party when it comes out, to play Mario Kart. So just to play those games online, you need the service. And the fact that something like Andrew's saying, that they're kind of pretending is this kind gesture, is now more than what the original online service is really just kind of like ludicrous when you think about it. Because Nintendo, you know, they need to stay, you know, the in-between. Like, everyone either has the Xbox or has the PlayStation. Nintendo's always been kind of like, whoever has either always has us.
The second console.
Yeah, and this is just a weird thing to try to put on people and then pretend that it's a bargain. So I don't know. I think it's a bad move for Nintendo. And even looking at reviews, like, I haven't read one thing that says, "Oh, cool, I can get these games for $30 more." Like, nobody's saying that. So I don't know what they plan on doing moving forward, unless they drop a gangster amount of things in the next like 2 months, and you know, you get 50 more different things. And moving forward, because you can buy the Animal Crossing DLC for $24.99 separately if you want, or it can come in this expansion pack. So if this is the place where they're going to start dropping free DLC, if you have the expansion pack, then I could see it eventually gaining value. But currently sitting, this thing is not worth $30. Like, it's worth 10 maybe.
Yeah, and I think too, even part of the bigger problem is when they kind of went through that era of, okay, well, we're really pushing the DS. The DS obviously was the highest selling handheld console. Let's remake Zelda 3D. Let's remake Majora's Mask 3D. And whether or not you like those games for the better or for worse, obviously they were designed to look better. Maybe they changed some of the functions around. So you're paying now more for this when you could have just had a DS and already beaten those games. Or you could have even bought those games by themselves for, I don't know, 10, 15 bucks, whatever, for what it is that you really want, a one-time fee versus a yearly thing on the digital console when they had the Wii U digital store.
Yeah, so I don't know. I think it's a step backwards for them. So if you guys had a thought on it, leave it down in the comments below what you think Nintendo's doing, or where do you think they plan on going with it, or if you disagree with us entirely and you think it's actually a good service, because I can't wrap my head around how this makes sense. I think the service is good. The price that it's asking for is just, it doesn't make any sense to me. So
I think for me, that price would have to be like a $29.99 for it to make sense.
Yeah.
For what they're offering, and that's me, maybe unfairly, how you want to take it, comparing it to what I'm getting out of everybody else.
Yeah, so that, guys, is our two main stories. Leave it down in the comments below your thoughts on them. So we're going to move into a little riffing it up. So I will go first, and I want to bring to your guys' attention that there is a live-action System Shock series in development on the streaming service known as Binge. Now, I've never heard of Binge, and I looked it up. I guess they've been around since May 2020, so about 16 months. And I think it officially launches in 2022, and it's going to have entry points at $10 to $18. And when I was looking at what they've actually got, it shows that they're going to have some decent content. They're going to have like Big Bang Theory. They're going to have Game of Thrones. They're going to have Modern Family. The Walking Dead as far as shows, and then movies. They've got, the Harry Potter series, Jurassic Park, Fast and the Furious, DC Extended Universe. But if you guys aren't familiar with System Shock, it's exciting news for me because BioShock is the spiritual successor of that. But let me real quick, and this comes from Polygon, just explain what System Shock is to you guys. So, originally released in 1994, System Shock follows a security hacker on a space station citadel who must fight against a rogue artificial intelligence named Shodan. Developed by Looking Glass Technologies and published by Origin Systems, the first-person game is set in a cyberpunk-tinged version of 2072. System Shock was highly influential, with the BioShock game regarded as successors. Fun fact, Gone Home supposedly also exists in the same universe as BioShock and System Shock. So
sci-fi horror, isn't it?
Yeah, definitely a sci-fi horror. And I like that we're moving into these games becoming shows, but it is dangerous territory. It's much more exciting, though, than it being a movie, because movies, as we've seen, can take something that's as rich with lore as games like this are, condense them, and then nobody's happy. Where when it comes to getting shows like how we've seen recently Castlevania in anime form, The Witcher in live action form, we're getting good content. So I'm excited to see how this would look. What I'm nervous on is, how did Binge get the bid for that? You know what I mean? Like, I've never heard of it, and I'm sure they're great. I'm not knocking them. But how do you not pitch this to, or I guess maybe they didn't bid on it, like a Hulu, a Netflix, anything else that's worth its weight than Binge? Because Binge sounds like it's something you flush away and maybe it doesn't work out.
I feel like that's kind of what System Shock is these days. I mean, you remember it, and I remember it fondly, but if someone were to oh, hey, do you want this? It's up for bids now.
No, but System Shock, last I read, is getting either a remake collection or an additional game.
New entry or something like that.
Maybe this is the time that it's kind of shining. But how do you like the overall style of a cyberpunk tinged version horror show that looks something like the BioShock?
I mean, that'd be really cool. I would have to hear more about, though. Is it live action? Is it
live action?
Oh,
live
it is?
Series,
well,
yeah.
Okay. So I must have.
Yeah, it's live action System Shock series in development.
I can see it, and I think that could be really cool, and I think it could be done like really well. I'm trying to think of what else I could really compare it to. Maybe
Doom.
Yeah, like as much as people shit on that Doom movie,
I like Doom.
I actually really like that Doom movie with The Rock.
Yeah, me too. So I don't know.
So maybe like Event Horizon kind of too.
Yeah, there you go. I don't know. I was excited about the news because again, like I want to see more things kind of become shows versus movies. We just, until we see a trailer, as much as I can do is just give it my hype. So I don't know, interesting, and I thought I'd bring it to your attention. What do you got?
So I'll go on my next riff, is that Spanish site Vandal wrote an article recently, and definitely go check it out because there's a lot of interesting stuff in there, stating that anyone who worked for Mercury Steam, which is the developer who actually just made Metroid Dread, which I'm currently playing, is not included in the credits if they only did less than 25% of the work. Or if they were working on the game for less than 25% of its total time in development.
Right.
Now, this game was in development for 4 years, so for you to have to make those credits, you would have had to have been working on it for at least a year more. And that's kind of crazy to think about, especially considering, I know I'm not a game developer, but I'm sure there's tons of jobs out there, and maybe even just like initial design and art and stuff like that. I don't imagine that takes 4 years. You could probably have that done maybe in less than a year. And then from there, it's people taking it to the next stage. And now we're digitally doing whatever. That people like that aren't going to get the sort of credit. They said the only time that you would do that is there are some exceptions for exceptional contributions. And they were very vague on what that means and didn't go into detail. But they have other people who wrote in saying, there was one guy who said he worked on the game for up to 8 months on the primary development, and his name's not in the credits. There was even another person who was working on the game for over 11 months. It didn't say exactly how long, but it sounds slightly less than a year, but pretty much like right there, and their name's not in the credits either. So one, I don't get how you could do something like that to people, but two, I definitely feel for those people. Because let's say, even if you only worked on the game for 6 months, that's a hefty amount of time, and I'm sure you're compensated for that. But that's not really the issue. When I want to go, like, let's say I'm going to apply at Naughty Dog or something like that, how am I supposed to say, oh, hey, I also worked on Metroid Dread. I'm the one who came up with this really cool design and this really cool whatever, but my name's not in the credits.
Yeah, that's a good point, because if you take it, I mean, even if you compare it to, like, movies, you could be someone that got
Background Zombie 1.
Or just person A to person B in terms of a contact. And then boom, you're a producer in some way. And you're in the credits. And it's mind-blowing that these people who are, when you read the article, these guys are talking like, hey, that's mine. I did that. It's in the final game. You're playing it. And I have no recognition, but...
A game that got 9s and 10s.
Yeah, and you kind of forget sometimes because it comes and goes, but as more as you dig into it, I guess apparently this happened in, it's developers that worked on Bethesda and Arcane Studios' Deathloop had either been relegated to the game's special thanks section or omitted from the credits altogether, and I forgot that over 1,000 employees were left off of Red Dead 2's credits, so this is nothing new. But I like that we can at least bring this back to the forefront of going, this is a problem because it shouldn't be happening. I would imagine that you do work, especially if it's in the final stages and in the end product, that you get recognition. Like, I don't know if it's illegal to not put them in there, but like, it makes completely zero sense. 25% is a weird number to even come up with.
I would really like to have a statement from Mercury Steam or... Take-Two with Red Dead, or Rockstar with Red Dead, something stating why. Because the person's already compensated for their work, ideally, I'm sure. So it's not like they owe them anything extra, and it literally costs them nothing to put them in the credits.
Okay, let me see. There's a thing right here from Rockstar. It says, that has been a consistent policy because we have always felt that we want the team to get to the finish line. Rockstar's Jennifer Colby told Kotaku. And so a very long time ago, we decided that if you don't actually finish the game, then you wouldn't be in the credits. So it's like, it seems like that's
something a bit more than that.
Yeah, that's a personal statement. Yeah. So that means that's just them being, I don't want to say vindictive, but being like, they're deciding that rule.
Not everybody has to be there for the full 8 years. I'm sure the guy who wrote the story for the game, even though that's an initial contribution, and I'm sure that's something that's a special exception. But what about the people who helped him? Like, oh, that doesn't sound good. Or, hey, let's do this and let's put a twist on that. The main writer's going to take that credit. What happens to the other guy?
No, yeah, I'm with you, though, on the resume build. Like, how do you apply to a big studio and go, I did this, and this? They're like, well, prove it.
That's the bigger thing, is because it's not compensation wise. I'm sure those people are compensated for whatever, and they probably don't have that special clause like, oh, well, if this game sells over a certain amount, you're going to get whatever. But yeah, the recognition that you deserve, especially if you're trying to move on and go to another studio, because that's how game development works. There's tons of people who float from studio to studio to studio as either, doing art, writing, whatever, Not everybody is a full-time person.
Yeah, so, I don't know. It's messed up, and I kind of forget, and people do that. It's happened before, and it's happening now, so hopefully we can I guess stop it. I mean, I don't know what we can do about it, but it's fucked up.
I just want like a full-blown statement and something maybe a little bit argument. Like them saying, oh, if you're not there for the end, I would like a rebuttal to, okay, why? Why do you have to be there till the end? What if my job only took 2 years and it took your game 6 years to be development? Does that not equate to enough work?
Then take out what I did.
Yeah.
I would greatly take out what I did then. If it's in the final game and I'm not in the credits, take out what I did and then see how you guys do. So, I don't know. Leave your guys' thoughts below and how you feel about the subject. And the final riff, guys, is that Call of Duty Vanguard just announced its zombies. So, there's a article in Engadget that goes, developed by Treyarch, Vanguard's Zombies mode ties into the Dark Ether storyline established by Black Ops Cold War. 1 year after suffering a decisive defeat at the Battle of Stalingrad, a Nazi officer named Oberfuhrer Wolfram von List finds a mysterious artifact that binds him to an entity called Cortifex, allowing him to summon an army of the undead. It's up to you and as many as 3 other players to battle through the ruins of Stalingrad and stop him. And it goes on to say, any experience you earn while playing zombies will count toward Vanguard's Battle Pass, which also shares progression between multiplayer and Warzone. The mode will also support cross-platform play between different consoles. As mentioned above, Vanguard launches on November 5th. It'll be available on PS4, PS5, PC, Xbox One, and the Xbox Series set. Kind of weird that this wasn't something that they started with, especially since Vanguard's kind of, I don't want to say getting backlash by any means, but it's definitely being looked at as a weak,
the least hype
a weak entry into the series. You would think that they would have, everyone loves zombies. I mean, that's just kind of what put Call of Duty back on the map is when they did the zombie waves. It's arguably some people that only play zombies. It's such a good mode. I really like how this one's showing that it's like a storyline. I mean, it's actually progressing a storyline if you played it from Black Ops Cold War, and I like that it actually moves into the Battle Pass, but that's just an outsider looking in. You play Call of Duty, religiously more than I do. Does that catch your eye at all? And is it weird that they didn't lead with this? And and this game comes out in November or something. Like, why are we learning it in the beginning of October, not 2 months ago?
I think it's fine that they put it out now. Maybe it kind of makes sense. It's like, hey, let's talk about zombies in October because that fits the theme for October. Being scary, that Halloween event that they have going on right. Actually, I don't think it starts now. I think it starts on like the 19th. But Warzone does like a Halloween event every year. They're actually adding a. Last year they did Texas Chainsaw Massacre. You could be Leatherface, and they also added the Jigsaw, the spiral dude, like the little fucking puppet guy. You can get those as skins. This year they're adding, I don't know if they're adding extra. There's like a Donnie Darko skin. There's all kinds of other stuff they didn't show, but Ghostface from Scream, you can buy like him as a skin, and they have him in a separate game mode where you're hunting down the people, and he'll like say like weird shit, creepy shit. So they do cool stuff like that to where it doesn't really bug me kind of on the timing. I just hope that the zombies is good because honestly it really hasn't been for me since like Black Ops 2. Like I used to religiously play zombies. I used to try to get high on the scoreboard. I used to be at one point, even though it's not that big a deal, I was on the leaderboard in the top 100 before like I kind of like fell off, which I think is cool.
Hey, don't talk about rock and roll. I am rock and roll.
Out of how many people that play it, but I loved it in World at War, Black Ops 1, Black Ops 2, and then after that, zombies has just completely fallen off. And I kind of liked the last one that they did on Cold War for a little bit. The more I played it, the more I just didn't like it. Honestly, I would buy a separate zombies thing if they just made like, here's zombies, all the iterations that they've done. Just play whatever one you want. However it was done at that time with maybe a few changes to whatever, like guns, whatever the hell it is they want to do. So that way it gives an option for someone like me who doesn't like the newer, all the crazy shit that they do. I like to keep it down to just like the base zombies where you're just doing whatever and surviving.
Do you think that them announcing a zombie mode has any effect on how many units are going to sell, or do you think it's going to sell what it's going to sell? Zombies is just icing on the cake for those that wanted it.
I think it's going to sell what it's going to sell. I don't think this is really like moving the needle for anybody. There might be a couple of people out there like, holy shit, like
whoa, zombies! Whoa.
Hey there, paisanos!
Hey, paisanos! Yes, I'm glad we were able to sneak that in.
I wish that's how they would have started the trailer, or Nintendo
hey,
would have done.
Nice. So if you guys were hyped for zombies, past, present, or future, just know that it is coming to Call of Duty Vanguard, and if you guys do get it, it will be there. So we're going to move into questions of the week, and this comes from John Tavitz, and he writes, what do you guys think of what do you guys think the next big studio acquisition will be? Especially now that we've seen Netflix start to get involved. Hashtag LastCallX. Yeah, a while ago, if you guys were up on the news, Netflix did buy their first gaming studio because, as you guys may or may not know, that Netflix is getting into, streaming games on their service. And it's kind of interesting to see Netflix actually acquire a studio. I forgot to write it down, so it's not in front of me at this moment. When Andrew gives his piece, I'll try to look it up. But, it's weird to think that, we live in this world where things like Xbox can pay, a shitload of billions of dollars and get things like Bethesda. Sometimes it's essential. Sometimes certain entities need certain studios to build those foundations that make those ecosystems great. But, the question everyone keeps asking is, oh, well, what's next? What's next? And I don't think there needs to be people that are still buying. I think we're at a very delicate place right now where if too many entities come in, because you got to remember, like, Apple's in the business for getting games now. Now Netflix is getting games. Sony's notorious for sniping, really, really good studios to build up their first party stable. And I guess if I had to pick one, my money was on Avalanche. Avalanche did Just Cause, which is a big series. I know our friend Denny loves playing those games. Mad Max, which a lot of people haven't played, but it got really good reviews, and I started playing it. It's a really solid game. And they're also in development right now with a game called Contraband, which is an Xbox exclusive as far as I can tell. So I'd imagine that them picking up a third-party action studio that kind of would resemble something that looks like an Uncharted, because you could, I think they would want something like that. But again, I don't want gatekeeping. I don't want them to acquire more studios. And I guess I'm more easy on Xbox buying something, because Xbox will let things live on other platforms. It will buy something and then go, oh, well, you can still play it on PlayStation. We just own it. Where if Sony takes something, or Nintendo, that's where it's staying. And I don't know. It's very dangerous territory, because you'd have to imagine that if Netflix gets something, they're not putting it anywhere else but on Netflix, because then what would be the point? So I don't know. I would say Avalanche. I don't know. Did you have another way of looking at it, or did you have a certain studio you wanted to pick out?
I feel like the most obvious one is probably like Sega. That's a lot of people's go-to, especially picking up something like that and being able to put out like Yakuza, Judgment, Sonic, a couple of those games like every single year, because there usually is a Yakuza or something like that about every year. So that's kind of the obvious answer, because they're not kind of...
Well, who would get it? Because now that Sega's tied with Nintendo, you wouldn't want Yakuza locked. Does Sega make Yakuza?
Yeah.
So you wouldn't want Yakuza locked behind Nintendo.
I wouldn't want it to. That's the thing, is I don't want any of these to go to anybody. I would just say that they're the obvious thing, because they're not up there like Square Enix or anyone else like that.
Yeah, you wouldn't want Capcom. You wouldn't want Konami being bought. That would just be suicide. In right now, gamers would go apeshit.
But I think if I had to choose someone that's like out there kind of in the ether, someone who was up for sale recently in sort of a way, would be NetherRealm Studios, the people who make Injustice and make Mortal Kombat. Even without those properties, if you were to buy them, that's a studio that seems like they're perfectly happy making an elite fighting game to compete with Street Fighter. And that's the thing, is they like doing that. They're not out there trying to, okay, well, we're just pigeonholed into doing this when we really want to make a shooter or an adventure game or whatever. They're just like, no, we just want to make fighting games, and that's kind of what we really want to do. That they can make an elite tier whatever sort of fighting game, even if it's not Mortal Kombat or whatever due to the licensing issues, just make some sort of elite thing that would be brand new, and then just...
But where does it go? Who's taking it? Who's buying it?
I don't know who would get something like that. If anything, I would probably say maybe Microsoft, because Sony already had... They don't own it, but they had Street Fighter V. That was an exclusive game. So why would you want to compete with that? Plus, usually they get some of those other... Japanese fighters that I don't know if they're on Xbox, so I don't really play them, like Blaze Blue and stuff like that. Primarily when I see stuff like that, it's on PlayStation, so I don't even know if that's on Xbox. So I don't really play those anyways. But again, they've already got enough of that stuff there that they wouldn't really need something like that, because now that's just adding on another studio that, oh well, fuck, we already had Street Fighter, now let's have another fighting game.
Yeah, and I guess my soft answer was I would rather have Xbox acquire as many of these as possible, because the more it gets, is, as bad as it kind of doesn't know how to handle first-party studios, everything they get goes on Game Pass. So regardless of what they bought, it's all going to Game Pass day one. And as big avid fans of the Game Pass and what it does, anything it's going to get, that it owns first party will be there. So that's where you'd be able to play it at least.
I wonder if that's a rare thing. I know people like kind of talk
a rare thing like the studio.
Yeah, I wonder if that's what it is, because people talk shit about that acquisition a lot, but a lot of people forget that when they bought Rare, a lot of talent from that studio left. So maybe there wasn't really talent there. Maybe they had them try to build shit behind the scenes that just wasn't up to par. And they're like, no, okay, well, now you're going to be doing the avatars and kind of doing whatever. Because the only game that they put out since then is Sea of Thieves. And Sea of Thieves, I mean, there's lots of people who like it, but I wouldn't say it's in anyone's hearts like fucking Banjo-Kazooie or Donkey Kong. Or
the fact they're not doing Perfect Dark anymore.
Perfect Dark, anything that they were doing pre-Microsoft, and that's not Microsoft's fault.
Yeah, so I love the question. It's something interesting to think about. Leave your answer down below. So before we go, guys, we are giving away an Xbox Series X. So if you're interested in how you can enter and how you can win, give a quick 2 seconds to watch this clip. Hey guys, this is Craig with Last Call Productions, here to tell you about the Last Call Gaming giveaway for the Xbox Series X that we're going to be doing on this channel. But there's a couple of things you need to know in order to win it. First, you must be subscribed. So if you're on this channel, if you're listening to this right now, drop down and hit that subscribe button. The second thing is that this is going to be running on our Last Call Gaming show that we do every week. The contest is going to start from episode 105, and it's going to run all the way to 112. 112 will be your last chance to enter the contest, because on the following week, on episode 113, that is when we're going to announce the winner. Now, to enter, you must leave a comment in each episode that says hashtag LastCallX. That is going to be your valid entry into the contest. Now, what we're going to do is we're going to pull one name out of each episode from 5 to 12 and put those names into a hat. And then on episode 113, we're going to pull one lucky winner that's actually going to win the Series X. Now, this contest is going to be open for everyone. All countries are available. If there's any issue, please feel free to email us at lastcallproductions@gmail.com. Or you can leave it in the comments down below for any questions, and we will get back to you and let you know for sure. The only hiccups may be shipping or anything that might prohibit us from sending it to your region. And as always, guys, good luck. All right, guys, that is the end of episode 110. We will see you next time on episode 111. So until next episode, guys, my name is Craig Perales. That is Mandrew Montemayor.
So long, paisanos.
Cheers.
Dude, Squid Game is sick as fuck though.
How many episodes is it?
9.
9? Okay, cool. Good,
and I'm already like super addicted in it because I watched 2 and I wanted to watch more, but Geno's already tired and I'm like, fuck, man. All right, I
saw you on it last night. And I'm like, because I watched the first episode like 2 days ago, but I didn't watch it again. And you said you were gonna start watching. I was like, oh yeah, I should probably get back into that. So at least we can kind of talk about it.
I really like the main character too, and I don't know if maybe it's that. Just because he's like a dad, and I feel bad because he wants to be a good dad, but he's also kind of just like a piece of shit.
It was nuts because then you see him like in the pictures, and he's like just looks younger and just looks like a completely different dude.
Right.
And I was like, yeah, that's pretty solid stuff. And then the thing with his daughter, and then the fucking dude with the thing in his nose, I was like, whew.
Oh yeah, I like that too. Where he's like, oh, do you have a pen? So he just fucking punches him.
He cracks him,
and he's like, oh look, you got your own ink. And
yeah. That. Oh, can I borrow 10,000? I was like, oh, dude, this guy's just degenerate.
But I love him though. Like, I love this show. Like, I think it's really fucking good.
Okay, so I've only seen episode 1. You're on 2. What's better, episode 1 or 2, so far?
You have to watch it because I can't say it. Because I think 2 is really, really good. Because 1, it goes in a direction you kind of don't expect it, but it also stands as like a setup for the rest of the show. But it's something I totally didn't even think would happen based on like certain events or whatever.
Okay, so I'll probably knock, depending on what we do this weekend, I'll probably try to knock at least 2 more episodes out over the weekend.
Yeah, so even I really like 2, but that's more because it sets up what the show was going to be. But that scene in 1 though, that red light, green light, and again, I didn't know I didn't even know you could watch it in Korean. It just
I didn't think you could watch it in English.
The default was English for me, so they're talking and it's fine. And I actually really like it because it's almost. I'm trying to think of what else it's like. It's almost like how they do like the Yakuza dubs, except for Yakuza I actually read them. But after doing that, I was like, oh man, I wonder if I should have played Yakuza in English.
Oh, having second thoughts now, are we?